Rhysand is this plague virus that is hitting fantasy and romantasy as hard as Stassi Schroeder slapped Christian Doty on her 20th birthday. Hello, my name is Vanessa. Welcome back to my channel. And yes, I do read books. And yes, I plan to make books about books I have read. But I'm in the middle of something right now. I thought it'd be more fun to go through some of my updated bookish hot takes. I think I did a video about this when I first started my channel, so it's somewhere in there. I have an updated list and there's quite a bit to get through, so I'm just gonna start talking. Okay, my first victim is my opinion on cozy fantasy. I feel like I actually like cozy fantasy in theory, but out of all of the cozy fantasy books I read, I just felt myself wanting more. And it's not because I think it's an objectively bad subgenre or the conventions are objectively bad. It's fully personal to my taste. I just realized that when things are labeled cozy fantasy, the stakes are simply not high enough for me to feel as invested in the stories as I would want to be. I always just kept thinking like, oh, when are we actually gonna raise the stakes? Or like, when are they actually gonna be in danger? And I think that like those sorts of reads are comforting for a lot of people, but I've kind of realized like I am not a plot forward reader, and I'll get to that, but I do need high stakes in my books, and I want life or death, I think, and that is why cozy fantasy doesn't work for me. And as a side note, I don't think that Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies is a cozy fantasy. I think that that is a misnomer. I think it is a fantasy, not a cozy fantasy, because there's way too high of stakes in that book series for what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more like House in the Cerulean Sea, or something maybe like The Secret Society of Irregular Witches would be considered cozy fantasy, which are both books that I liked, but I just never think about at all because I just don't think about books that did not have high stakes in them. Sorry, that's just my opinion about that. I also see it kind of going out of fashion. Like, I feel like it was a very quick trend and I don't see it being published as much, but maybe I'm wrong. My next opinion is that a plot twist will not save a book for me. If a book is just so throughout, but it has this amazing plot twist, I'm still gonna rate that book like a 2 or a 2.5 because you will not trick me. You cannot trick me. I think it's a little bit gimmicky and it makes me feel like, oh, this author had this idea of a plot twist that they really wanted to do, and instead of constructing a really satisfying narrative, they wrote this plot twist first and then worked backward from there. And I do think that there's probably a lot of authors that works out really well for. I don't know, like the book feels unfinished and it just feels like, okay, so you just had me meander around in this book so that you can do this plot twist that like really didn't, just like after being pissed off the entire book to get to this point, I like really couldn't even care anymore. So I'm that sort of person, and that's why thriller is one of my least read genres. If I'm going to read something that I want to feel like my heart racing for, I'll pick up a horror instead. Also because I feel like horror leans into an aesthetic element that I just really appreciate. I don't think that I'm a big appreciator of plot twists. Like, I like them if I'm really caught off guard. But if I didn't like the book, I feel like I just ran around. I don't know. Speaking of plot twists, one thing that I was thinking about when I was looking up a book and then the TikTok comments were like, oh my god, this book, I won't say anything, but the plot twist is insane, and all the comments were about the plot twist. I think saying a book has a plot twist is a little bit of a spoiler alert, and in a perfect world, and I know we're not in a perfect world, so save it. In a perfect world, people wouldn't even say if there was a plot twist or not, because then when someone says like the plot twist is insane in this, or people present a book to me and they're like, this has a crazy plot twist, I spend the entire book reading and trying to pick up all the crumbs to figure out the plot twist before the book even ends, and it's like, wait, I'm not enjoying this the way that I'm meant to. And then when by the time the plot twist comes, I like, my reaction to it is just, oh, that's the plot twist, instead of being actually like shaken by the plot twist in the way that I would if no one told me there was a plot twist. I know we're not in a perfect world where that is something that I can actually dictate. Like, you know, I'm not saying don't say if there's a plot twist online. I just think in my perfect world, people wouldn't say that even, because it'd be more fun. Okay, unpopular opinion that probably actually isn't that unpopular. It might just be unpopular to like the majority of readers who aren't on the internet at all. But if your book cover has AI art on it, I'm just going to assume that the book itself has AI written words in it. Therefore, it just like ruins the integrity of the book as a whole. Like, I don't know anyone who uses AI and draws a line with it at certain parts. Like, everyone I know who's anti-AI would never use an AI book cover and therefore would never put AI in their book or use it for any reason. The people who would use an AI book cover or okay an AI book cover, I find, or in my opinion, are the sort of people who are okay with using AI, thinking that we won't notice it, and And so that's why I just draw this line where it's like, if a book has an AI cover, I'm not interested. Like I won't read it. Like I just assume the worst of it. So that's my opinion. Publishers, take that on. Please do not turn to AI covers, because a lot of us readers who are super anti-AI are gonna start to question the artistic integrity of the writing itself. Just saying. I have a whole TikTok video about me ranting about this, but AI, the ACOTAR fandom and your little AI TikTok videos of Rhysand and Cassian, you guys gotta knock it off. You guys gotta cut that out. Well, I don't know why in the romantasy subgenre, and by the way, I defend you guys quite a bit. So this is sister to sister right now. I don't know why so many of you in the romantasy genre, like subgenre fandoms, think that those AI images are okay. Like, why do some of those have 100K likes on TikTok? Can you explain that to me? Why don't you go on DeviantArt, get out your tablet and make something from the heart for once? Because I am sick of looking at these pictures of Rhysand and Cassian, who have the same face over and over and over and over again, looking like Alpha CC Sims, which I've said that before, but it's so true. I am so sick of them. I cannot stand that face anymore. I'm sorry, Instagram face. Farah with the Christian Autumn Girl waves, but Farah with her winged eyeliner being, you know, when she's emaciated in the wilderness. And I see a lot of popular TikToks that are like, the only Rhysand to me is the Rhysand from that one AI image of him smiling. No hate to that person that posted that, by the way, but I'm using it. But you know, I gotta call it out a little bit, because fandom culture in of itself existed to be this space where fans can create and make derivative art from something that we all collectively love. And I feel like incorporating AI into something like fan art just feels like such a slap to the purpose of fan art as a whole, and using AI images as like the fandom's headcanon of the official Rhysand is just heartbreaking to me. You guys have to figure it out. I do not want to have to turn this car around. Okay, on ACOTAR. I know that ACOTAR gets like so many lashings in these videos, but I'm sorry, but there is like a blueprint that has been created by Rhysand. Rhysand is this plague virus that is hitting fantasy and romantasy as hard as Stassi Schroeder slapped Christian Doty on her 20th birthday. And like, the thing about it that pisses me off about it is like, I also like a tall, dark, handsome man, right? Like, I get it. I'm not saying don't make male main characters who are hot and tall and dark and handsome. I am sick of the very distinct shadow daddy character that exists just to be a Rhysand ripoff that is just copy pasted across so many different fantasy books right now. And they do this thing with shadow magic, and they say like, oh, this guy has shadow magic, and I say, whoa, that's cool. I wonder how they're gonna incorporate this shadow magic. I find most of the time, functionally, the shadow magic means nothing. It's nothing. It's just a way to make him hotter. If you're gonna give a shadow daddy shadow magic, can you please at least create a magic system that incorporates it in a way where it actually means anything at all? I just find it boring. I find it boring. And yes, I do kind of think it's Rhysand's fault. Sorry, I do kind of think it's his fault. Okay, this is a personal one, so this is my, like, another, like, very personal hot take, but I have come to realize about myself this year that I just don't really care about plots that much. Like, I don't find myself writing a Goodreads review and saying like, the plot of this book blew me away, or oh my gosh, the plot of this was so much fun. Like, I'll have fun if the plot is fun, but that's not really something that will make me give a book a good review. Like, if the characters are so-so, or the descriptions are lacking, or the writing is subpar, a good plot will not overcome that for me. And I think for a lot of people it would, and that's actually a completely valid, fair opinion. I just realized that. Like, if you're on my page, just know this about myself. If you find me recommending books that have very little plot, that's because I don't really care about them that much. Like, I don't want a bad plot. If it's like, for example, if it is a plot-driven book and the plot is bad, then that is a bad thing because that was the purpose and it failed. But overall, it's just not high on my priorities to be plot-driven. I don't know. I do think that there's like plot-driven people and there's character-driven people, and a really big problem on both sides of the aisle, if I may, is that like people will read a character-driven book or like a vibes-driven book and say like, this is objectively bad because nothing happens in the book. And then character-driven or vibes-driven people will read a plot-driven book and be like, this is objectively bad because way too much was going on. And I feel like my other unpopular opinion is like, maybe everyone just needs to understand that like books are written with different purposes and are driven by different things. And if you pick up a book that is plot driven, you have to evaluate it at that level. And you can still rate it low and say, oh, I picked this up, but I don't like plot driven books, but don't say it's objectively bad if that was the purpose. I don't know. I think that's just the problem with like ratings in general. Also, I feel like caring about the person, like the POV of a book is really strange to me. I just, that's never even crossed my mind. Like I've never picked up a book and been disappointed that it was written in third person. And I see this all the time on TikTok. Granted, I've fixed my feed up quite a bit that I don't see this as often anymore, but I know that there's a big, like, portion of readers that are very, very disturbed by picking up a book that's written in third person and only want to read first person. And I find that peculiar. My only like maybe theory about it is that like these people really like self-inserting into books, and I do think self-inserting into a book sometimes is a natural consequence of just being very immersed, but I also can be that immersed while reading third person. And I also don't think it's that healthy if the only way that you can read and enjoy a book is if you are in first person fully believing that you are the main character, because then consequence of that is that you are going to start moralizing your attachment to that book, and any criticism of that book is then going to feel like a direct attack on you. And I think that when reading a book, while it is good to be immersed and see yourself through your character's eyes and empathize and everything like that, I also think it is important to look at the larger project of it all and be able to analyze it on at a top-down level as well to get the most like critical analysis of it. And sometimes relying so much on fully self-inserting is just a very dangerous game, and it is a very dangerous game specifically for books that have big fandoms, because this moralizing, baby, I've been on Tumblr since 2011 and I know how this story goes. I don't want to hear this ending again, okay? All right, quick one. Audiobooks are reading, and I don't need to go into the ableism argument because it's been said before. My piece is, this whole entire argument from people who are anti-audiobooks are reading is usually so pedantic and obtuse, it just makes me mad. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Also, if you think BookTok only churns out like half-baked, really poor quality romantasy books written by white women, I have some unfortunate news. My friend, you made the algorithm. It is true though, like I tried to start a side account, and it is true that the first accounts that you'll get are, you know, white girls usually recommending these types of books. So it is a problem that like the most popular talkers or booktubers are kind of maybe this type of thing, and maybe the algorithm does reward that more. But I will say, if you really want good BookTok book recommendations, because I have tailored my feed to that, it just takes time to just, you know, hold down that button and hit that not interested, right? And then go and look up creators who are, you know, people of color, or, you know, books that you love and are interested in, and then you will follow creators that will then feed your algorithm information to get the BookTok recs that you need, because all of my BookTok recs that I get on my feed are absolutely fire. So I do think like sometimes this is people complaining about a problem that they refuse to fix themselves. Just takes a couple minutes tinkering around in that algorithm there, and you will have your problem solved, I promise. Another short one, but anti-smut bookish men freak me out and make me feel like I'm about to bite, and I don't like them. And I won't elaborate on why, but I think you can draw conclusions. And I say that as someone who also doesn't really care about smut very much. I love lived-in books. I also have this feeling that lived-in books are going to surpass the popularity of the pristine, no spine broken books soon. I love when a book is like annotated. I love when people have their thoughts in books. I love when the spine is broken. I love dog earing. I used to dog ear pages quite a bit and I stopped doing it. Maybe because I wasn't influenced by the pristine book kind of rage. And annotations and seeing, you know, exactly how you felt at a particular moment in time when you read a book, and then being able to pick it back up and seeing that and how you connected with it. I think that that's really beautiful. And I see this being very popular again very soon. I feel it bubbling in my mind behind my eyeballs, like how this is related to fascism and the recession in some way, but I'm gonna let someone else make that video. There's no such thing as an objectively bad genre or category. And I think that it's very obtuse to say things like romantasy is so bad, romantasy sucks. I don't agree with that. I don't think YA is objectively bad. I don't think romantasy is objectively bad. I think these are enormous categories. I think just because there is a lot of bad things within particular categories doesn't make that category and its conventions objectively bad. I see this all the time with romantasy. I see this all the time with YA, and it it makes me sad. And I think what people are really trying to say is they want a good version of something from this category, which is important, and you should want that. And we shouldn't just like take slop from romantasy or whatever. But I think that it is a little bit of an overreaction to say that everything in a category is bad, because that's just not true. And I just think that even though romantasy is this very cash grab genre right now, there are gems in there, and I can name them that you just wouldn't find if you completely had written off that entire genre. And that makes me sad to think that people do that. And I do understand that romantasy is hard to nail because it requires this blend of character driven and plot driven, but it can be done, and I don't want people to miss out on any of these gems. Leave people who read 100 to 300 books a year alone, because you would be surprised by just how much time you have in a day if at any moment you had a break. For most people, it does depend on your lifestyle, but for most people, you picked up a book and actually read. I know I am such a time waster. I am not reading the way that I actually could, and they are not lying. They are really reading. They are not skimming. They are not lying. Some people are quick readers. Some people just manage their time and prioritize reading in a way that maybe we just don't understand fully because we're all addicted to our phones. And I just don't like people pointing fingers at those people, okay? I will defend them. Last but not least, I think negative reviews are a good thing. I think negative reviews are important to advance reader spaces, for us to understand cultural criticisms and apply them to other works so that we can generally kind of uplift the art as a whole and make it better. And I actually think it's fun to be critical. I think once you learn that, it's like a skill that you have to kind of work on, and I'm still working on it. And I follow creators who just, they read articles, they read journals, and they're so good at it, and I'm very inspired to try to learn more, because it is a skill that you have to learn, but once you learn it, it is really fun to apply it. So I'm excited to be on this journey to figure out how to be a better reviewer. I really look up to those people who are critical and do give bad reviews of even my favorite books, because I think that it helps round out this space. And I don't think people should take them personally. I actually think you can learn a lot about your taste in books by reading 1-star reviews, and it's not an objectively bad thing. It's not a moral failing on you if someone who is very critical rates a book 1 star. These things are important, and it's not mean, you know, being critical is not being mean. It's very important, and I wish people would keep that in mind. Overall, my biggest opinion about books and reading in the reading community right now is that I think that anyone getting into any books is a very good thing, and I think everyone's reading journey starts somewhere. But I think I'm gonna end it here. I've warbled enough. Let me know what some of your bookish unpopular opinions or hot takes are. I would love to hear them in the comments. Okay, have a great day. Bye.